welcome to Radio Hound Tube Radio Restoration's YouTube channel. This is John from Indiana, and on this episode on the video today we're going to be going on with the wiring, and we have one more last section to look at, and that's the front end kind of tubes. We have 3 tubes on the front end that we're going to be looking at. So we'll get, without further ado, we'll get started on this. I have a couple things coming up in the early part of December. I'm going to be going to Tennessee to pick up another radio. It's at my sister's house, so I'm going to take you guys along with us, and you get to make that trip and get to meet some of my family down there, and it'll be kind of a fun trip. And we're going to pick up a old Philco radio and bring it back home with us. So that's going to be part coming up here later on in the early part of December. We'll continue with this series just for a little bit longer, and then we'll get on into some of the recapping and that part of the radio. So I hope you stay with us today, watch this video. And I messed up a little bit at the end there because I went out and trusted AI. I didn't have a information on one of my tubes. It was 1232 tube, and I trusted AI to give me the right tube numbers, and it was wrong. And I found that out a little bit later, and so you'll see me make those mistakes on there. But you know, I left them in just because I think it's better that way, and that way you can see what happens in real life. All right, thank you for watching today. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Bye bye. All right, today we're getting back into the video, and we're still learning about schematics. We're tracing the wiring. We've traced the output section of the wiring. And in the last video, we traced the detector, amplifier, and inverter section. And today we're going to try to do these 3 tubes right here, and that'll complete this far as this part of the wiring that we're going to be doing. We'll start at the 6K7 here. This 6K7 kind of sets in between the 2 IF cans, and what it does is its main job is to amplify that 455 kilocycle signal, and it's going to amplify that in the middle between these 2 cans. So let's trace that wiring. This ought to be pretty easy because most of this goes straight to the cans. So first thing we have to do is make sure we find out where our 6K7 is, and our 6K7 should physically most of the time sit right between the 2 cans, but just for the fun of it, we'll go on top here and we'll look at it. And here's our 2 cans, and as you can see on the display, the 6K7 sits right in the corner here, right behind that. And so this is the 6K7 that sits right here. So we need to flip that up on the bottom, and like I said, that 6K7 will be right here. The 2 black holes are your 2 cans, and this is your 6K7. All right, so we're going to flip our book to 6K7, and it's probably on the other side, of course. Okay, and our 6K7 sits right here. Go ahead and get our pin numbers marked. Our plate is pin number 3, and so we'll come over here and mark pin number 3 on the plate. Okay, and then our grid right below the plate is pin number 5. And so we'll get back over here and we'll mark pin number 5. Okay. And then our grid right here in the middle. Oh, I'm sorry, not on there. Pin number 4. And we'll mark that right here as pin number 4. All right. Then we'll come back over here, and our grid cap is the one on the bottom. This is our control grid, and we'll mark this as our grid cap. All right, and then come back over And our cathode is right there, and that's pin number 8. And you'll find out, like on a lot of these tubes, the pin number 8 is your cathode. Okay, so we got that one marked now. Now we'll go and we'll try to trace our wires. Well, as we can see, pin number 3 goes straight into the IF can. So we can come up here, and that'll be an easy one to do because we can just look at it. And there's pin, right here's our notch. Okay, so that's pin number 1. This pin right here with nothing on it. That's pin number 2, and that's pin number 3. If you follow pin number 3, I might have to move that a little bit to see it. Tell you what I'll do. I'll snip one end of that so you can see good. Okay. Pin number 3 goes into the blue wire right here, and the blue wire goes inside this shielded coil, and then it goes into the IF can, as you can see right there. And if you'll look down here, you can see your little dotted line right there, and that goes into the IF can. Now, if I want to test this IF can, I have to find something down here to hook onto to test that IF can. So my first dot, because I'm wanting to test this coil right here, so my first dot would be down here on, I can do it 2 ways. I could either put it over here on R, I think that's what, R8, and R8 is a 1K ohm resistor, or I can put it on a capacitor coming off of there. So since we already know where R8 was, because we found it when we were doing our other test on the other tube down here, that's our 1K resistor. We have brown, black, and red. So we have 1, 0, and 2 zeros. That's 1K resistor. That's how you tell. So we know that one end of that resistor is going to be our ending of that. So now we're going to figure out which end we got. So what we'll do is we'll clip on to, and I threw my wires back out of my way. Okay, great. Okay, move that back over here. All right, we're going to clip on the pin 3 right here of the 6K7. And then we're going to clip onto one end of this resistor. Now one end is going to show that low ohms for the coil, and the other end would of course show the full 1000 ohms here plus the coil, so we'll know which end we're on here. Okay, and then we look over here and we don't have anything, so let's check, make sure my wire came unloose. Okay, hold on. Now let's see what we got. Okay, so we got the full 1K, so we know we're on the wrong side of that resistor. So what we want to do is get on the other side of the resistor, and now we should show low ohms coming up, and that'll tell us that we've got good continuity. And as you can see, we got 8 ohms. That tells me that half of the winding of that coil is good. And so if we go down here and we look at this coil, what we did is we trailed right through here. We went through that coil. We know it's 8 ohms. It says it's 11, but ours is 8. And it goes, I'm on the wrong one, I'm sorry. It's this one going down, and we're trailing down here, and anyway, it's hard to see this through the thing, but then you're going up here to R8, and basically we're clipping on, it's all the same point right here, and so we're just measuring that coil right there, and it's 8 ohms. It says 12. All right, so let's go and try to get the other side, okay? The other side is coming off of that 6J5 detector tube, and we know that the detector tube was over here, and that 6J5, hope we marked the pins. We did, didn't we? Yeah. All right, so that's 6J5 is on the grid cap. And so we'll go up top here and we'll clip onto the grid cap. Move these wires out of the way. And we'll clip onto the grid cap up here. This is our detector tube. Oh wait, I'm sorry. It's underneath. Sorry, 6J5 don't have a grid cap. All right, we've determined that was pin 5. I remember now. I don't know if you can see that or not, but let me see if I can get in there. Pin 1, pin 2, pin 3, pin 4, pin 5. I think it should be this guy right here. Okay, now I'm on pin 5. That's my grid cap for my 6J5 right there. And what I'm doing is I'm coming right off of this grid right here, okay? Then I got to figure out where the next resistor is. So we see that resistor right there. And let's see if we can figure out which resistor that is. That's I think it's R12. Okay, so we'll go down here and look and see if we can figure out what R12 is. Oh, R12 just our second IF, okay. That is all part of the IF can. So we're gonna have to go down lower and we're gonna have to go down, follow it on down. That's just part in, this is all inside the can. And I should have noticed that it's got a dotted line around it. That means it's all inside the can. This is some combination tank circuit that they have inside the can. We'll have to look at that. But then we go down to the bottom right here and we do have a resistor right here we can hook onto, which is R10. Okay, so we're going to go to R10, and R10 is a 1 mega ohm resistor right there. Okay, so now we got to try to find our 1 mega ohm resistor. Well, I don't know if you remember, but this is like the other side of where we were talking about before. So we're going to be able to find that real quick and easy by clipping on the one side or the other again, just like we did on the other one. We'll clip on one side, and then if that is too high, we know it's going to be about, should be around 12 ohms. So we'll clip on one side first, and that one's about 19 ohms, which tells me that this IF can be a little bit off. Just for the fun of it, we'll clip on the other side of that 1 mega ohm resistor. Remember, 1 mega ohm is brown is 1, black is 0, and then the 5 is 5 zeros, so that means it's 1 million ohms. And if we went over here, as you see, it's close to that 1 meg, so we know it's the other side that we're looking at. And it makes me wonder, but you have one side a little bit higher on this winding and the other side's a lot lower. So, but we do know that we have continuity through there. So we're good here, and we're also good down to right there, okay, through that resistor. Because we already tested the resistor too. And the resistor we'll probably have to change out, because if that being 1 meg and it was like 890, I think, I'm going to go ahead and mark that one to be changed so we can swap that resistor out and throw us a 1 meg in there and be done with it. All right, so we know that this IF can, the IF can in this black hole, we know that that IF can probably is pretty good. Let's check this other one out now. So we're going to go to 6K7, and we're going to go off the grid of that one, okay? So this 6K7 does have a grid cap on top, and I'm going to lay it down. We'll get hooked on there. That's this gnarly grid cap that might be shorted out, I don't know. But it's the one right here coming out of the top of this can, all right? And then we'll lay this back again, and our other end will go, I'm checking this side if you wonder. Now I accidentally marked that one a while ago, we'll still have to recheck that. But we're checking this coming out of the grid cap, and I'm going in through the coil, and then we're going to come back down, and guess what? We're going to go to the other side of our 1 mega ohm. So now we already know where that is. It's the opposite side where we were at. So now we should be able to go over here, and we should see it has 8.6 ohms. All right, so we know that that side is good also, and we know we're good down to that resistor. All right, so we can mark all this. Let me blow that up a little bit for you. and coming down here, and then we also can go over to the other end of that resistor right there. All right. Now on the 6K7, you just have a wire that goes between pin 5 and the filament. Okay, so basically we're doing pin 5, and it's probably going to be just going to ground somewhere. So if you look at it, I will show you pin 5, pin 1, pin 2, pin 3, pin 4, pin 5. It comes up here, it goes to this pin, and it goes to that pin, and then guess what? It goes off to ground right here where it's touching ground. This is a little ground tab. And so all these pins here are getting grounded. And so we already know pin 5 is grounded. It's a hard wire, so we know we got a connection there. So on the 6K7, we can mark that one off, and we can mark it up to that grid right there. So another grid you really got to check on the 6K7 now is the pin 4. Pin 4 is coming off right here, okay? So pin 4 is going to come off here, and it's going to go, and the easiest route for us to go to is back here to this resistor, so it's R9, okay? So we'll go down here and look what R9 is, and let's see if I can get in here. R9 is an 18, remember M is 1,000, 18,000 ohms. Okay, so it's an 18K, so that's what we're going to be looking for in this radio, okay? So we're going to be coming off of pin 4. So let's count off of there and let's chase our rabbit. Okay, there's pin 1, there's pin 2, pin 3, and pin 4. So it's pin 4 is this one right here. So let's follow our wire. We know it's not the capacitor. It's either going to be this wire or this wire, okay? So let's trace this yellow wire up here, and it goes up here, and it goes to, oh boy, what is that? I can't quite make it out in the dark here. I'm going to try to get another light in here. Okay, and then it travels right up the side of this, and then it goes right up here, and it goes to that terminal strip, okay? So now we gotta look at 18K. Well, do we even have an 18K there at that terminal strip? I have this big one, I have that one, I have that one, and I had the one that we had attached right here too. None of those are 1,800K. So let's go back the other direction, okay? So we're going to take the other yellow wire, and it goes down, down. Let's keep going down. Where are we going down in here? All right, see if I can see it. And I'll be honest with you, I can't even make this out. It's so dark in there. I'm going to have to stop the recording just for a minute so I can find it for you. All right, I had found it, and I'm going to try to get you locked in on where it's at. That wire that we were tracing going down, let me get this thing stabilized so I can get a light. My light's fighting me, hold on. Okay, let's take that back again. This wire that's coming off of that pin 4 is going down, 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 and it goes down underneath all of this stuff, and it actually comes out. I don't know if you can see it right there. You got a brown. I was looking for a brown resistor because it starts with a 1, so I knew it had a brown. And look, right on the end is a gray, which is 8. And if you flip it up, I don't know if you can see it here, but there's an orange dot, which is 3 zeros, 18K. So we know that's where we're going to go. All right, so now what we want to do is we're going to hook on one side of that, and then we're going to hook on the other side of it. One of us will check the wire, and then the second hook on will check the resistor itself, okay? So here we go. I'm going to, I got my wire hooked on up here on pin 4 on the 6K7, all right? And then I'm going down underneath here, and I'm going to try to see if you can see it. I don't know if you can or not. But right there is the little wire that we're trying to get to. This is kind of tight, and you think about some of these other radios they're twice as tight as this. But it does make it fun. It teaches you a lot of things. All right, I'm hooked onto one side of that. And so we should just have continuity here. And that's continuity. There's for your guys that like beeping. That means your wire is good down to there. Now we'll jump on the other side of that resistor and verify if it's an 18K or not, or if it's went out of tolerance. So now I'm trying to hook on the other side of this, and I'm hooked on both sides of that 18K resistor, and I'm at 17K, so that's not bad. All right, so we can take that off now. That is not a silver end, that's the gray end, but if you look on the other end of that resistor, it is silver, so that's a 10% tolerance, okay? So we can only be that 10% off, okay? So, hold on just a minute, I'm trying to get my hands free. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm going to mark this one to be replaced because trying to get my hand in here. Lost my place for a second there. All right, so I marked that one. We're going to go ahead and replace that one just because it's so close. And now, but we do know that this line right here is complete now. Okay. All right, and as you can see, we're starting to fill in our sheet really good here, okay? All right, so now, if we get on the other side of R9, we can go ahead and knock out this 6A8, but we got to get our numbers for 6A8 first. So let me try to get that book laid up. All right, let me get back here where you can see what I'm doing. 6A7, 6A8 is right there. So 6A8 is... I am so sorry, I sneezed. Okay, these radios are so dirty sometimes and they make you sneeze really bad. All right, so we know that the plate is pin 3. So I'm going to put pin 3 up here, and then I'm sorry I didn't get you on the thing. I put pin 3 right there. And then also on the 6A8, the first grid down that covers these two, they cover these two grids right here. That's pin 4. So we'll go back in here and mark this one as pin 4. Okay, all right, then we'll go back up here, and the one in between those two is your grid cap. So this one will be your grid cap. All right, then your next one down is pin 6. So we're going to go in here, and I'm going to get this moved out of my way. I have to keep going around that light. All right, so the next one down is pin 6. That's this one. All right, then this bottom control grid is pin 5. Yep, pin 5. It's this bottom one right here. Okay, so that's pin 5. All right, we got everybody, and then of course pin 8 is probably going to be our cathode, so this one will be pin 8. Okay. All right, so we got them all marked now. So now we got to find our 6A8. Okay, our 6A8 is on here somewhere. So remember, we can go to our thing here on the side. And we can look, and of course it's crossed from the 6F5s, and that's where we found that 18. That's where we found that 18K capacitor is right there, or resistor, I mean, and is up underneath here. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go, the plate we've already done because we marked that accidentally, but we haven't done it. So we're going to take and clip onto the plate, which is pin number 3. So I'm going to get pin number 3 pulled out here, and all my equipment is fighting me really bad. My clips came off of my leads again. All right, back to this pin number 3, and you're just going to have to trust me on this. I may even skip this one because I don't even know if I can get up in here on the camera again, but this is one that's clear underneath that switch, and it makes it quite fun to try to clip on. But as far as counting pins, you guys have watched enough, you can already know how to count some pins. So I'm just going to try to clip on up there if I can. This is a tight fit up under here, and I may not be able to clip onto this one right now until I get some stuff out of the way. Oh, it's almost had it. That couldn't be in a worse spot. All right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to plan B. Let's get the other end hooked. All right, the other end of that is gonna be on this side of R8. Is that R8 or R5? I think that's R8. R8 is our 1K. I got to figure out which side we want to be on. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hook on to this side of it. I hooked onto the down side of it right there. And now I'm just going to try to tap that pin and see if we can get our ohms. And look at there, it's 8.2. I can't clip onto it, but I can hold it. All right, so we verified those ohms coming out of that. All right, and then we've already verified that R8 is good on the previous times that we used it. So we know that coil is good. So we've got mostly 8 ohms across there, except for that one was 19 something. All right, so that's already been checked. Now we can go to pin 4. And pin 4, we can just go right on this side of R9. And R9 was what? So we go down here to R9, and that was our 18 meg. And we just got to figure out which side to get on. And remember, the 18 meg is down here. And I'm going to guess it's on that side of the 18 meg. You just have to trust me on that one again, too, because it's just so tight under there with the camera. It's almost impossible. All right, so we're on one side of that. And then we're going to go to pin 4 on this. Oh boy. And you might have to take my word for this too, but these two are connected directly. There is no wire. So I can disconnect here. This pin 4 is directly connected to the 18K. There's no wire right here, so this is a direct connect. So the end of that resistor is hooked right onto that pin 4, so there's nothing to verify on that. We've already verified the resistor needs to be changed. All right, now we're going to go to pin 6. And pin 6, it might get easier to get these pins because these higher number pins are down toward the bottom where I can get to. But okay, I don't know if I can get to it or not. I'm going to try. Pin 6 is right there, I think. And I'm clipped on to pin 6. Now pin 6 comes off of here and goes down, 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 down. There's a coil we run into, and then there's another coil. So this is going to go straight to a coil. So then it's a blue wire. I don't know if you can tell or not. I'll try to point it out up in here. That blue wire right there is going off. And you're not going to be able to see it, and I'm just going to have to judge it. But yes, it goes directly into this other box right here. Well, this other box is your oscillator. That it's you see the black circle. I don't know if you, let me get it where you can maybe see it. Let me go back in a little bit. Maybe that'll help. Okay, this dark circle that's right underneath here, that's your oscillator, and that blue wire goes straight into that oscillator. And there's no way directly to verify that until we actually start tearing stuff apart. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and mark that one. We know the wire goes in there, but we'll have to get connected on the end. I'm going to have to move some stuff around to get to that one. So we're just going to assume that that one's good, okay? All right, our next pin is pin 5, and our pin 5 goes straight up. Our pin 5 goes right here. It comes off of here, goes down, comes over, and goes to a switch, okay? So let's verify pin 5 now, okay? So pin 5, I don't know if I'm onto it or not. And you're not going to be able to see this one either because it's another wire that comes off of here, and it's this little blue wire right there, and it goes up to this front wafer switch right up here, but you're not going to be able to see that one either, so we're going to skip that one too. Some of these things you just have to be sitting in front of them to be able to tell, and that's why I don't do a lot of this on the end, because a lot of this stuff you never have a problem with it on this end. All right, so now let's go on to pin 8, and pin 8, see if I can get to it. Oh, this particular tube is really hard, and there's some radios where every one is just like this. Every tube is packed underneath, and but this one is definitely in a tough spot to be. Okay, I'm trying to find pin 8 under there, and I think it's that. All right, we'll find out. And guess what? Pin 8 goes to a resistor that goes between. Now if you can look here for a minute. Get this in front of us. All right, pin 8. Pin 8 goes across here through a resistor and back to pin 5. So there will be a resistor going between pin 8 and pin 5. So what's that resistor number is R5, I believe. Well, let's go see what R5 is. R5 is a 47K right there, okay? So you got the yellow resistor right there. It's yellow, and there's your 7. That's a violet on the end, and the orange dot is K for the 3 zeros, okay? So 47K. And we see it going between pin 8 and pin 5, so we know that we're good there. The only thing is we got to verify that that resistor is good. So all I got to do is clip on the other side of that resistor, and we can go look at it, and yeah, it's real close. So this one does not have a 20% tolerance, so I mean it does have a 10% tolerance, so we're good on that one. That resistor's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that one good. And what I do there is just mark between there, and then all of that goes directly to ground right here. So there'll be a connection to ground on that. All right, that'll complete that tube. And then the only tube you have left really to verify is the 1232. All right, the 1232 just has a few pins off of it. So let's go see if we can figure out what the pin numbers are on the 1232, okay? And in your books, it'll be way out there, and I don't even know if my book has it, but this might be a good learning experience anyway, and it don't. All right, what you can do if you don't have one in your book, sometimes your book doesn't cover the range on when those tubes were used or whatever, or just doesn't have it for whatever reason. And what you do is you can Google that, and you can say pinout, P-I-N-O-U-T, for a 1232 vacuum tube. And what it'll do is bring up something just like one of these, and it'll show a picture like that. It'll give you pin numbers and your data that you need on it. And there's several books out there, and basically it brings up little PDFs of those, but it'll bring that particular one up for you, and then you can do your pinouts from that too. You don't have to have a book. You can do it all online too. I just like my book because I can flip through it. And trying to hold a camera and doing all this, I feel like you guys all think I'm a klutz, but, well, I am. But bottom line is I do a lot better when I'm not holding a camera. It's a lot easier to flip around, do one hand, do something, and the other hand, do something else. But you're kind of getting the gist of what I'm doing here, all right? But I'm not going to do that one, I guess. We'll skip that one for right now because I would have to break, well, I'll break away for a second. All right, I'm back. The 1232, I put the pin numbers on here. I went ahead and pulled it up off the online. A lot of differences here is pin 8 is pin 3 on this 1232. Pin 2 is your control grid. Your screen grid is pin 5. Your suppressor grid is pin 4, and your anode and plate is pin 6, okay? So pin 6 ought to be easy real quick. But first we're going to figure out where our 1232 is. And our 1232 sets right here, right behind the two rectifier tubes. So we know that 1232 is going to be in another difficult spot probably, but it sits right to the right. I don't know if you can even make it out right there, but it's underneath all that mess of stuff. 1232 tube sits right there, okay? And I'm going to try to move some stuff out of the way so we can see stuff. Okay. All right, so what we have to do is we have to orient ourselves on this. Give me a minute here. I'm going to have to move a couple things just a minute. Okay, I had to make some corrections, and I moved a bunch of stuff out of the way too. But the pin numbers that I got off my first thing was from AI, and AI was wrong. So we'll figure this out together. This one is actually pin number 2. Okay, and then our grid cap over here is number 3. Okay, and then number 4 I think stayed the same. And then okay, I think I'll probably be better like this, because the rest of these, 1 and 8 is your filament, and the rest of these, let me see if I can get under here and show you better now that we got figured out. Okay, this is pin 1, and this is what they call a 7-volt tube. This is a loctile tube. It kind of locks in place in there. This is your pin 1 right here. So this pin 1, that's your filament. Pin 1 and pin 8 over here are your filament. And pin 2 is your plate, okay? So pin 2 is this coming off here, and it goes to that little coil right there. Well, that's what this is right here. That's the coil right here, all right? It's a direct connect, so we don't have anything to check there. And how I know that's the right one is because you have a resistor coming off of that coil as R1, and if you look down at R1, it's a 4.7K. And if you look at the resistor that's tacked onto the end of that, it's a 4, and then the violet 7, and then 2 zeros, so 4.7K. So I know that's the right one for pin 2. So the plate is actually pin 2. And then you go to pin 3, and you got two things coming off of pin 3 up here. You got your 100K resistor. That's now this one is a different kind of resistor than you've been seeing on these radios so far. So this counts the bands from the end, okay? It's not body end dot on this one. So it's 1, and then the black band is 0, and then the 4 zeros. For the yellow is 4. So that's 1, 0, and 4 zeros, 100K. And if you look at the resistor right here on pin 3 now, all coming off that grid, this pin 3, and there is your capacitor that you have that's hooked on right above that. That's a 0.05, and if you look over at C4 down here on the list, it's a 0.05. And then if you on the same pin, you have where am I at? You have hooked on that 100K, and that's this resistor coming down right here. So the only thing we can really check right here is the 100K resistor, and so I'll clip on either side of that, and we'll verify that that is indeed close to 100K. And I must have come off again. I did. Hold on. Oh. All right, it's 114K. These right here, we can be out of tolerance of 20%, so we're still good on that one. It's borderline, but it's still good. And so we know our 100K is good, and then we'll be changing out that cap, okay? So we know that that side is good. So we know two things so far. We know that number 2 is good, and we also number 3 is good, and across here is good. Because that capacitor is just going to ground. That could go to ground anywhere. Don't have to go to ground on the cathode. All right, so now we're going to try to look at the rest of these, and it makes it real easy on the rest of these because they're all connected together. Pin 4, and as always, comes around here, and so it all matches around. All right, we know that this one's not pin 2. I think it's pin 5, but we'll find that out here in a minute. So all right, so right here, this is your pin. That was pin 3. This is pin 4 and 5. 4 and 5 both go to ground. So that means this is 5 right here, not that one. So we got that one figured out now. That was actually 5. Scrabble that out. 5. And then that one is 4. And then the one going out here, the one that's going out here on the grid, control grid right here, then has to be pin 6, and that's this next pin. So that's 5, and this is 6, and it goes out to the switch right here. It goes to this wafer switch. And so if you look here on this, it goes right out here and clips onto that switch. So the only thing you could really check there is that wire between there and the switch, and you could clip on one end and the other. Yeah, I guess we can on that one. I can get to that on camera. So there's that end, and then the switch, it comes out to this switch right here on that end, and we've got our continuity there between that and that switch. So we are already complete on that. We can mark these, and that's all done there. Now we got a couple little things to complete, and that's getting on the other side of this coil. This coil that's coming off of pin 2 right here. We got a resistor here and a resistor here. All right, so we're going to go look at these two resistors. We already checked the R1. R1, remember, was the 4700 mega ohm, so we need to go verify that that's indeed the 47. I think we did this. I can't remember, but we'll do it again just in case. So I'm clipped on there, and I'm 5.3K. So this one we're going to mark for replacement. That one needs to get replaced, okay? Now we're going to go to the what is that, R4? I can't make that up. Yeah, R4. So R4 is 15K right there. All right, so now we just got to find that. Well, we know it's coming off the end of that coil, so we're going to try to see if we can figure out where that's coming. So right here is that coil. We got our 47K coming off of it. That means there's a 15K somewhere, and we know if it's a 15, it starts with a brown color, and he's hiding back here. He's right there. Okay, so we just need to put our leads on him now. And I think he's going into that. I can't tell. Okay. All right. Now, this could be one of those cases where you need to lift one end of this, but I've got it connected on either end of that spider-infested resistor, but it's showing only 6.9, so not even 7K. So we're going to go ahead and mark this one for replacement. It may be that it's okay, but because it's connected in there to that coil and this other stuff, that it might need replaced. So there's a few other odd and end resistors around here that we're going to check, but overall, we've covered a lot of the wiring that's across here, and we're pretty comfortable now. Everything you see in green is stuff we're going to go back and fix. That does not count any bad wiring that we did not touch yet, and I'll show you that. I've noticed a lot of it while we're going through here. You see all these wires. Of course, we already know we got to replace all these wires that go up to those switches. All these are going to get replaced. But also, just you see wiring like this. See this wiring right here? Anything that's made out of this rubber, this is all crumbling. I'm going to crumble this one off just so you can see how easy that is to crumble off. You don't want to leave that in there. So we're going to be replacing those too. Now, the continuity is still there, but you need to replace the wire because it could short out against. I mean, you have that fall off and then it shorts up against this metal right here. You're going to have a fire underneath here. So we're going to have to go through when we start changing things out now, and we're going to have to check all the wiring. Now, if it's non-disturbed, like if some of it's filament wiring, if you don't have to touch it, don't touch it. But if it's bare open and you already see it crumbling like that out here, let's change these out when we're going through there, and that way we'll have a nice stable machine. Other things that you notice when you're going through here that just put in your head while you're going through and checking this wiring. This has nothing to do with the schematic, but you see right here, we don't even have a diode belt on here, so we're gonna have to figure out what's going on here. It looks like somebody homemade something right here. And I'm pretty sure none of this is like it should be, so we're going to have to figure that out. I'm going to have to get one of these that's close to it and figure out what we're missing. The good news is, the one that, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the one that we were practicing on before we got our hands on our radio, it has the very same setup, so we can get our switch from there. That's the same switch. And that's the same thing, and guess what? There's already a belt on it. So we might be able to rob all that stuff and put ourselves in business. And see that right there? That's what's missing, is it's got some kind of banding or something. But we will cannibalize off of that chassis. That's what that chassis is for, is parts. And we'll be able to replace this whole deal here and then get our belt on. So when we get into that, I'll actually take you along with me, and we'll rebuild that whole section right there. All right, I hope you had fun today. Next video, we're going to do a wrap up, and I'm just going to put it all together for you, and it won't be a long one. These are longer here because you got to kind of get to quitting spots so you're not lost. And I know I confuse you sometimes because I'm doing this live. I didn't pre-plan none of this, and so yeah, you're getting it as I get it. And so if I run into a bump in the road, I have to stop and go on, you know. But this is real life, and I want you to experience what I go through real life, because sometimes you run into things and you say, I've never seen that before. And I've had so many just in the last little bit here of stuff I've never seen before, and I've done a lot of radios, but each one is different. Each one has its own life, and I hope you enjoyed today. We'll be back at it, and remember that now my YouTube channel is active. I got the first 4 videos up there. And I was going to just release one a week, but I think I might release more than one a week because I've got way too many ahead. And somebody already gave me a suggestion to do something, and I'm going to do it. But I'm already 21 videos ahead of that, so that person won't even see that suggestion until video number 22, which will be this one. But bottom line is, I think I'm going to release more and get closer to myself and not have so many videos buffering. And that way, if somebody gives me suggestions, I can make immediate corrections. All right, thank you for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. We have a couple more videos coming in this schematics series, and then we'll get on into the recapping section. So I think the next one, I'm just going to do a little bit of a wrap-up, try to go over just a couple things I want you to walk away with from this, and then I'll decide if we want to do one more or not. But I think this next one may cover everything we need to have right at the moment. When we actually get into working on the radio, you're going to learn more about schematics. This is just an overview, so you won't be walking in cold when we start working on these radios. It helps a lot to know a few things before you start actually working on a radio. And I know some of you are jumping at the gun, wanting to get it started, but you know, if you're just learning a lot of this stuff, you need to have the groundwork laid before you can actually get into there. That's why I said to people who are already knowledgeable in electronics and radios, you might get bored with what we're doing, but for the person just starting out, I have a feeling they're enjoying this a lot. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video today.